grow each year. And the primary reason is these liabilities are for the most part unfunded. And we're assuming that these costs grow as payroll grows. So our costs are determined as a level percentage of payroll. So you see a little bit of increase due to that also. So roughly you have, it's around 7.4 million for all years. The middle row in that first table, actual contributions, that's the pay-as-you-go amount. So in our detailed report, we have a pay-as-you-go exhibit. We just pulled it from there. So roughly 4.7 million. If that's what you pay, if you continue pay-as-you-go, then the result is the NOO that shows up on the balance sheet is roughly, it's 2,659,000. Okay, and you can see that grows over time because each year there's a shortfall between the real annual cost and the amount you're actually paying. Now, if we look at the full pre-funding scenario, which is at 7.75%, remember here what we're saying is, well, first of all, the discount, we're allowed to use a higher discount rate because we have return on our assets that we're putting away. It's pay me now or pay me later. So we have a lower ARC annual cost. The 7.4 goes to 6.6 million. And now, instead of just doing pay-as-you-go, we're contributing a little bit more and up to the level of the ARC. And the result is that there's no net OPEB obligation. So our balance sheet looks pretty clean on these liabilities. Okay, so a pretty big difference. I've got another slide here in a second. I want to point something else out. So note that the difference to the county in going full pre-funding, it's just the difference between the 6.6 million and the 4.7 million. So it's 1.9 million roughly. That's the additional amount to fully pre-fund. And that's kind of important to recognize that basically the annual cost, the pay-as-you-go cost, is included in that ARC amount. Any questions on this projection? If we go to the next page, it's really taking that and extrapolating it out a little bit or projecting it out future years. We have 3 lines here. I'm not great with my colors, but I guess calling that magenta the ARC. The first line starts again a little over, I think it was 7.3 million. It's kind of in the middle there. The benefit payments down below were around 4.6 or 7. And that yellow line is the net OPEB obligation. So you see it starting out increasing quickly, but as the ARC and benefit payments get closer, then the increases on the NOO are closer. So this is a scenario of an unfunded plan. Now I'm not showing you, I didn't show a funded plan, but this is kind of what is going to happen to your NOO over time. Now the good news is, because this has been limited in scope to, the eligible participants. What you would typically see is, you'd see those other 2 lines relatively lower, and you'd see that on an unfunded plan, you'd see that NO just going up and up and up and up and up. Here, at least, it tapers off, and that's because we've got a closed group. Okay, so that's what you're seeing here. Okay. Key issues. This is more of a recap than anything else. We did an actuarial evaluation as of a specific date. It's a point in time, and we do if we do this again in a year or 2, those numbers are expected to grow. The liabilities grow because, remembering what we did was we discounted them back to today. So just as we go along in time, they grow. But the results are very dependent on the discount rates we use, which are directly a result of the degree to which a pre-funding plan exists, or do we continue to go pay-as-you-go. The balance sheet liability is accumulated difference between the ARC, what our annual costs are, and what we actually contribute, or pay-as-you-go. And the other important item here is the roughly 90 million to 130 million dollars in accrued liability. That is not the direct balance sheet liability. I note that for a couple reasons. One is that, you know, what hits the first number, that's the first number everybody sees, is 90 million, 129 million. That's not directly what shows up on the balance sheet. And the thing to note is that the public sector, and in this case GASB, is about 10 years behind, 10 to 15, about 10 years behind where FASB was on this issue. So non-public sector entities who report under FASB rules, they were required to recognize these liabilities back in the mid-90s. Okay, so the other critical difference between FASB and GASB now, FASB just in the last couple of years they changed their standards so that actuarial liability, or the unfunded actuarial liability, the 90 million or 129 million dollar number, that does show up on the balance sheet for FASB reporting entities, but it's not there yet for GASB. So that's another reason I pointed out here. So how does this impact us or the county if